Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, it's been about a week since I did an upload. I think I've been quite busy with work, other boring stuff. Aztec from the 4th tee is the next World Championship course. Generally, you'd be drawing it. They've just put this bunker here now, so it makes it a little bit more tricky. But bouncing it there will get it on the green. I'm going to play something a bit different here, though. You notice the wind's left to right. Can be quite tricky, but with a carrying wind, I've tried this and I know I can reach the green with a sky shot. So I'm going to play a full sky shot here, nothing fancy, just full blast, and we'll see it's over that tree. It's going to hit the other tree and stop on the front of the green, but from that position you'll see it's quite an easy putt. So you'd rather be 15 yards away with a pretty straight putt than 6 or 7 with a really steep downhill putt, which is possible if you go off to the right there. You can see the break coming down. So regulation eagle here. Just a little bit of an adjustment. It seems like I can't remember what shots I played, it's because I can't. I played these on the train on the way back, had to go away for work. So I recorded a couple of videos on the train on the way back. I can't for the life of me remember what I did, but there you go. So eagle on the first, always a nice way to start. And the next one is a par 5, which again is an eagle chance. Depending on your stats, there's various ways you can play this. For the lower stats, once you get enough, you can just about reach this bit of fairway here. If you can't, you're struggling to get anywhere near for an eagle. Then you can go past this tree, or alternatively you can just blast it like I'm about to do here. I wouldn't normally play this, to be honest, because it's a bit of a risk of going in the bunker, but you can get a nice easy flop shot into the hole if you can land it safe, which I do here. You can see it stops quite quickly because it's going uphill. The other alternative is to leave it within a full pitching wedge distance away, and that's quite a straightforward shot as well. So this one I'm just going to pitch it a little bit behind the hole. It'll roll past, leaving an uphill putt. Always a chance if you get the line right it'll go in. But obviously you're just going to need to be a little bit careful not to hit it too hard and go off under the fringe on the back, because it is a downhill slope away from you. That's not a bad position to be in. A little bit of break, but nothing too much to worry about. You can often, with these break-in putts, in fact I nearly underdid it then, but you can usually take a lot of the break out of it by hitting it a lot harder than you normally would, and usually, especially with a short putter, it'll drop. Okay, this one, the pin's in a really horrible position. It can quite easily hit the front and roll away down into the sand, and you can see people taking 3, 4, 5 shots quite easily here. What I'm going to play is something a little bit different again, just again to show you the sort of shot that you can play. Wouldn't tend to play this shot in the World Championship, but sometimes if the wind allows, it's worth trying this sort of thing if you're confident you know what's going to happen. So if you look here, I'm going to go past the hole, but where it lands is quite steeply inclined, so it's going to bounce back and leave a nice easy putt. You always want to be going, erring on the side of going too far rather than too short on this hole, because the thing with going too short, as well as it obviously not going as far, it's less steeply angled, so you'll not be able to avoid the obstacles as easily. Okay, this one again, this is a fairly killer hole for a lot of people. We've got a lot of wind, it's going left to right. Essentially what I'm going to do here is bounce it off the balcony. I've just allowed enough for that 2-yard wind to push it across. It's going to go past the pin, but you should see I don't get too tricky a putt from where it lands. So it's just landed on the balcony. In fact, I probably would have been better going a bit harder there, because it would have gone through the window and landed in the rough, taking a lot more pace off it, and it would have left it a lot closer to the hole. There is a chance it would get stuck up in the rough in front though. Again, erring on the side of caution. You can see I've misjudged that putt a little bit, so a bit of work to do there. That looks about right to me. Get on with it. A little bit short, underhit a little bit, but good enough. You don't have to be insanely accurate when there's not much break on a putt like that. So next one is a par 5, the second par 5. Again, it's one that can be an absolute nightmare Once you've got the stats, it becomes a lot easier. A lot of holes like that in this game. So early on you'll be aiming down here if you can reach, then gradually you'll get it up here, and then after that you can get onto this bit of fairway here, after which it becomes really easy. I'm just going to play a simple draw, which will leave me within flop distance. The pin's in one of the more tricky spots on this green, so you'll see me adjust quite a lot for the break on the green. So it's giving me a flop shot, so it's already going to kick over to the right 3. So my calculation here, if it was 100 yards, I would be going 3 notches to the left. It's 60, so I'd probably go 2, but you'll notice I'm actually going a further 3 across, a little bit for the wind, but mostly because of the break on the green. You can see I'm really aiming it at the top of the hill. That red area is obviously a hill, which I didn't catch it very well, that mind, but you'll see it goes way to the left of the pin, and there it rolls right down, leaving a really straightforward putt. You wouldn't want to leave it at the top of that hill. It'd be a horrible putt, but equally you don't want to be right down the bottom with a really steep uphill putt either. That one's probably the hardest pin on that green. Well, definitely is, I think. Okay, another one, another par 4. Early on you'll be looking to take it over the building and leave it short for a backspin shot or a flop if you get a bit more distance. I've got enough to make the green here. Only consideration is if I landed on the green, it's going to go way off the back. So you'll see I'm going to essentially just drop it in the rough right in front of the green. It'll kick off to the right a bit, but should leave a holdable putt. So it's stopped quite sharply, that one actually. But an easy enough putt from there. Double breaker, which I always like. So essentially with the guide I'm just aiming the same distance to the left of the marker that it was going to miss on the right, and straightforward enough. So 6 down, the 7th, again it's a fun one. You've got an island with a really steep drop, very easy to go in the water. In the past you could fade it because there was trees in the way. I'm aiming to land it just where I put the marker there at the front of the green. I know from previous experience it's a fairly full iron shot here, and it's going to just pitch in that rough stuff and go absolutely dead. You can play, depending on your stats, a high shot, a sky shot. The fade shot still works, that used to have to play because of the trees. Loads of different ways to do it, but it's always a good one to eagle because I see a lot of people get into trouble there. Again, this is quite a tricky hole until you have the stats. In fact, this course in general, you'll see people have absolute nightmares on it, but once you've got the power you can basically get past all of that trouble just about. Once you can drive most of the greens, worst case scenario you're going to be getting birdies, whereas prior to that you'd be really happy to get a birdie. You know, you can start going for eagles. It's the difference between 9, 10 under and 13, 14, 15 under. So that one, it's just really getting an idea of which way the ball's going to bounce, which you'll get from either experience, or you can use your marker to get an idea of the contours by seeing the elevation as you move the marker around on it. If it goes up, it's uphill. If it goes down, it's downhill. And another straightforward eagle. And finally the par 3. This one you can very easily leave it in the sand in front of the green. So the real consideration is making sure you miss that front of the green, but also stop it in time. Stop it rolling off the back, because if it just trickles off the back, you've got an impossible bunker shot and you'll have to actually play it backwards before you can get it back on the green. You'll see a lot of people do exactly that. I've got a nice wind here just to play a full 9-iron backspin shot. It should stop, but not so sharply that it won't roll on towards the pin. Think about the angle that it's landing at, so that's always going to roll on a little bit. Okay, so that's that one. Another lightning to it. Next up, I'm going to have Sawgrass out from the 5th tee. See you then.